Good day, Rusk enjoyers. Hope you're right, because it's time for the 48-hour analysis. Basically, in this video, I'm going to look at all the skins in the current Rust store, make comparisons to previous Rust store skins to get a good idea in regards to, well, how much are each of these skins likely going to sell by next Thursday, and then knowing that, we'll then question, are these skins still holding up to being perfectly fine investments, or are there any potential problems that you need to be aware of? So sit back and relax, and I'll start yapping. So, the first 24 hours of sales for the Lunar New Year, Week 2 Rust store for 2026. Last week, people were pessimistic. They weren't very enthusiastic. A lot of people just did not care for what we saw here. But with this week, with this batch of skins, well, we've got an incredibly transparent wooden double door. We've got a very approachable, very affordable green tier 2 armor set. So, like, instantly, people are like, oh yeah, okay, this is pretty interesting. This is a whole lot more interesting compared to the previous week. But to my surprise, let's just quickly remind you, top selling skin last week, 8,000 subscribers. Kind of drops off a little bit, like the garage door here, 7,600, AK-47, 7,100. Well, this incredibly pay-to-win wooden double door, only around 8,500 subscribers. Although, I should point out, it is priced at $3.49, which is, no, it's a bit pricey. But then there's an instant drop-off with this garage door, down to 5,500, down to 5,000, down to 4,800. Like, what happened? I'm not really sure. But I have to confirm, low sales. Okay. Well, I mean, it's not as bad compared to the previous week. Lowest selling skin right here is 2,500 subscribers. But on average, it really does look like all of these have sold less compared to what we see here. So let's also just point out, we're not going to see any collection continuations for another year. Not until next year's Lunar New Year. So in regards to clothing and armor, that could be a bit of a problem. But we'll just have to play it smart in regards to how we approach all these skins. But do some of these even need a collection continuation to get a boost? With a sheer lack of sales, it only kind of makes them look a whole lot more appealing. If at some point in the future, suddenly everybody wants to buy these, well, there'll only be so much of it to go around, because then price will just keep rising up very high and very easy. So, okay, let's now hop out of here. So, first 48 hours of sales, or rather I should sit here and say about 50 hours in now. Yeah, it's a little bit later. But the difference between what we see here and what we saw like about 2 hours ago is like 400 subscribers. Not a ridiculous amount. Anyway, not that much difference here. At first glance, when you first saw these skins, what did you think? In my Rust rotation video, I have done like a nice showcase of the tier 2 armor, showcasing whether it could be nice green camouflage. It's okay. But okay is probably good enough for a lot of people, especially with the prices they're selling at. But yeah, we're back to regular skins next week. No more holidays, no more pink stuff for Valentine's, no more cool dragon things and whatnot for like Lunar New Year. No, just back to normal, regular, interesting skin submissions. So yeah, maybe people just did not care for the actual like batch of skins, the themes. Maybe people just don't care in general for Lunar New Year, which I guess wouldn't be too surprising. But really, people are just going to ignore this? People are just going to ignore this? Like, it's not like people aren't playing. There's a lot of people playing right now. There's 175,000. Quick refresh. Okay, a little bit less now. But yeah, no, we're doing so good that we've actually surpassed January. Okay. So it's not like there isn't enough people playing to notice. There is a lot of people playing to notice right now, but they're just not noticing. So, shrug. It is a bigger. It's a big surprise to me, but yeah. I mean, if you have a solid answer, feel free to comment below. But I am surprised. Well, how about we now go ahead, look at all these skins, and try and figure out how much each of them are likely to sell by next Thursday. So first up, Chinese paddle wooden doors. Only around 8,500 subscribers with the first 24 hours of sales. What am I going to compare it to? Well, if we could just go to the previous week, the Cute Panda Furnace had just over 8,000 subscribers. We could compare to that. But if we go to the week before that, we could also compare to Love Struck Tactical Gloves, 8,600 subscribers. So let's hop out of here, and away we go. So let's go to the previous week. Can confirm the Cute Panda Furnace had about 19,200 subscribers. And then the previous week, we have Love Struck Tactical Gloves with about 20,500 subscribers. So hop back over to here. I'll get a quick look at you once more. Now, by all means, I should sit here and say, if you want to get a good look at all the skins, consider watching my rust rotation video. I do a nice little showcase with this, although I've talked about this for about a month now. When I first saw this, I made a big fuss about it. I put out a video questioning, well, we're getting like some sort of power creep with the transparency on doors. Is this allowed, or is it taking things too far? Well, Facepunch accepted it, so I think we got our answer. But the next question is, will we see more wooden double doors like this? I would sit here and say yes. It wouldn't surprise me if that happens. But I should also point out, how often do you use wooden double doors? I'm very much under the impression when you just get like, well, you hop into a brand new wipe, you're getting your base set up. If you're going to use garage doors and all that, you very likely will be using wooden double doors first. Might not be for long, but they do get usage. So in regards to what we have right here, I can see it being used, I can see it being utilised and appreciated, and in regards to its design, it does look nice. It wouldn't surprise me if people try and use it for like just a nice casual fun sort of base. So I can see a pretty interesting future with it, but it is priced at $3.49 already. That very likely would have led to its sales not being too ridiculously high, but I'm going to sit here and say I think that's going to do between 18 to 21,000 subscribers. Now, that of course isn't an absurd amount. I should also remind you, not too long ago, we did have a sheep meta double door which glowed in the dark and had transparency. That's still holding up very nicely. But the amount of usage we see of sheep meta double doors in comparison to wooden double doors, hopping back over to here, we should also remind you that in 2025, we saw a ridiculous amount of wooden double door skins being accepted. It was the focused item of the month back in August time. Take note, a lot of these skins are doing very nicely at the moment. Even though this dropped off, this is still in the positive, this is still in the positive, blah, 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 blah. Yeah, all of these skins, most of them really, except that one, yeah, they've been doing very, very nice. So I can't help but assume this will probably do a very decent job retaining its value. But then again, let's also point out, about 7,000 subscribers, just over 6,000 subscribers, just over 7,000 subscribers, 13,400, 13,500, 21,600, 16,668. I mean, that was 2024. So, okay, fair enough. But I think Legacy Wooden Double Door probably is the best thing to compare to. That quite literally finished with 21,600 subscribers. One quick look on the Steam market. I should have had my extensions working. Sorry about that. Right, here we go. Back over to here. Ta-da. Right then. So, before we even saw a brand new Chinese panel wooden double door, this was doing very, very nicely. Right now, it's currently priced at $3.65. Just a few sales later, it'll be sitting there at about $4. Scroll, 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 scroll. Look at its nice, slow and steady rise in value. So, this appears back in August 2025. It initially drops off, and then from October time, all the way to post-Christmas time, all the way to the very end of February, it went from about $1.50 all the way to like $5 to $5.50. But then, of course, we see a brand new skin that basically completely outdoes it. And it goes from about $5.50, yeah, it goes all the way down to about $3. Now, it has recovered a little bit, but yeah, it's not exactly doing as good as where it was. But the point I'm trying to get across is, there was demand for this. People wanted it, and the price steadily increased. If it went from $1.50 to about $5.50, don't you think it'll be very easy for this to go from $3.50 to $5.50? Like, it might be a bit of a slow process, but I wouldn't be surprised if this does pick up and does work out very, very nicely. My only concern is, though, how many wooden double doors are we going to see this year? And how many wooden double doors are we going to see being submitted with the same amount of transparency that we see here? Not the exact same, but the same amount. I will say, I'm always looking at the workshop, always keeping track of the newer skins being submitted. I don't see that many wooden double door skins being submitted. It's not a common sight. Sheep meta double doors, 100%, a whole lot more common. And the focused item of the month for March 2026 is the armored double door. So, at least in the meantime, I'm not expecting any sort of wooden double door skin to be submitted, okay? So, okay. As we approach the summertime, where we're expecting even higher numbers than what we're seeing right now, I would expect that to go up in price ever so nicely. With only 18 to 21,000 subscribers, that is not a ridiculous amount, an absurd amount. No. It's a perfectly fine amount. So keep an eye on that. That is looking good. And the fact that it's not doing like 30,000 subscribers only makes it a whole lot more appealing. It wouldn't surprise me if we start seeing loads of people suddenly making lots of videos talking about how ridiculous that is. But it does take like 1 or 2 Molotovs. Done. Boom. Gone. So it's not too hard to get rid of. But we have seen some transparent wooden doors come out in the past. Face Punch is a lot more lenient with them because they're not too hard to get rid of. So, okay, understood. We get the point. Let's move on then. You have the horse garage door. Currently, right now, 8,500 subscribers. But what are we to compare to? I thought we could go to the previous week, look at the sheet metal door. This has about 5,800 subscribers. This over here has about 5,500. We could just go a little bit less based on what we see with the sheet metal door. But also, I thought we could go back to Valentine's and look at the double love double barrel shotgun, 5,400. So, let's take a quick look. Let's go look at the previous week. We have the sheet metal door here with just under 14,000 subscribers. And with the week before that, I see the double barrel shotgun, 13,500. So, looking at this right now, I think this horse themed garage door is going to do between 13 to 15,000 subscribers. Now, literally the previous week we have already seen a horse themed garage door. It's already starting to go down in price. There will be more garage doors this year. We have seen a garage door basically every single Rust store except one, but during that time we had the Twitch drops being given away for free. So the amount of garage doors we've already seen this year, it's ridiculous. I think we're 9 Rust doors in, and we've already seen 11 garage doors. Yeah, by the end of this year, we're going to have a stupid amount, aren't we? It's getting silly now, because every year we keep seeing more garage doors being accepted in comparison to the previous year. And it's been consistent like that for like the past 5 years now. So with such an abundance of garage doors, it only makes it harder for them to retain their value. And with this right here, yeah, it might only do about 13 to 15,000 subscribers, but I still expect it to drop off. Sorry to say, nothing wrong with it. Looks very nice. Honestly, if you like to have your very own stables, if you like to collect every single horse that's on the island, that's a perfectly fine looking door to have your, your stable. But I still don't expect it to work out. Very nice looking skin. Next year, I'd love to see like a sheet metal double door or a wooden double door or something like that next year from Arietta and Maloiko. It's just, I know people are going to react where they're just going to be indifferent to it. It will sell a decent amount. It's just, yeah, come on now. We've seen this happen last year. We've seen it happen the previous year. There'll be tons of garage doors and people just won't be that fast. So, all right, fair enough. So 13 to 15. Feel free to offer your own opinion. Are you feeling confident with it, or would you respect what I've said? I'm a little bit hopeless now with garage doors. Unless they stand out insanely. Yeah, it's unlikely. Right, next up, I want to talk about the SKS and the Tier 2 armor at the same time. So 7,900 at the moment, around 7,200, 7,300 here. Yeah, okay, cool. Well, what are we going to compare to? Year of the Horse Bed. So literally, just the very previous week. Yep. Year of the Horse Bed only had about 5,000 subscribers. But as you'll notice, the SKS literally only had about 5,000 subscribers. And the Tier 2 had about 4,800. So, yeah, that's probably a perfectly fine thing to compare to. So I hop over to here, I take a look at that bed, and it's only got about 11,600 subscribers, and it's already gone down in value. Oh, anyway, 11,600. Switching back over to here, let's just quickly refresh, just to, be 100% sure we're definitely up to date. So that SKS, you're telling me that potentially will only do between 11 to 13,000 subscribers, Mr. Hedge? Yep, that's my suggestion. Huh. Well, suddenly the SKSs start selling a lot less. It is the brand new skinnable, but as you'll notice, the drop-off is pretty insane. 51,000, almost 24,000, over 40,000. You're telling me this is going to barely do over 10,000 subscribers? Yep. I mean, there's nothing wrong with it. I think it's a very nice looking design. I've shown it off already. It's nice and shiny. Looks pretty sweet. I guess people just don't care for Lunar New Year skins. That's like the best answer I can give to you. So let me also put this out there. I'm expecting quite a lot more SKS skins to be accepted. I fully anticipate we'll see like Twitch drops and kick drops, like the blue gem batch from Trainwrecks. It wouldn't surprise me if we see an SKS. Like, I feel like that's a given. I feel like it's like gonna happen. There's no other way of saying it. So like, we're gonna see some pretty cool looking designs being given away for absolutely free. You just got to sit and wait. But in the meantime, next week, March 4 swipe. You might have seen the short video. A lot of SKS skins have already been submitted. Yep, get a good look at this. 10 very nice looking options, from No Mercy to Blackout, Thunder Gold to Funerary. There's a lot of options there. There's also another batch of them that are going to appear over the course of this weekend as well. I can't help but assume we're going to see a very interesting SKS skin from a notable collection being accepted literally next week. So you'll very likely just get lost in the shuffle immediately. So considering that, I won't be surprised if that does drop off. But because it's a fairly new item to get skins, there's not really anything to compare to. So in regards to how are you going to behave, I don't know. I might just play it safe and do a 60 cent to 80 cent barter. Maybe I might push over to slightly above $1. We'll see how it goes. But I am expecting more skins. I'm expecting some very nice skins to be given away for free as well. So we'll leave that be. But the tier 2 armor. One thing I can immediately point out. If you were to compare all the other green road sign kilts right now, this by default is the cheapest. We can see that quite some time back we had the fish road sign kilt. That's about $2.50. We've had the silk kilt. Yep, silk kilt. Yep, $2.36. This right here, it's only $2. At the moment, 7,400 subscribers. It will likely do between 11 to 13,000 subscribers. Comparing that with the fish kilt, well, fish kilt would have sold less. Comparing that with the sail kilt, well, the sail kilt would have sold less. But still, it will automatically be the cheapest option. And I'm sure you've seen videos I've made, where I talk about the cheapest camouflage skins, budget options. Let's go over to here. I put out a fairly recent video. There it is, the best budget camouflage skins in Rust. If this tier 2 armor appeared to 2 months earlier, it definitely would have made it in that video. So consider watching the green camouflage portion. Maybe you might want to just use the kilt. Maybe you might want to use the other tier 2 pieces. But I should point out, it's not perfect. It's not absolutely perfect, and to truly understand, consider watching this 3-minute short video where I showcase it in various different environments. It does stand out a little bit because it's a bit brighter. It's got a bit of a blue to it. So, okay. It's still very cheap. It's still very approachable, and for a lot of people, I wouldn't be surprised if it's simply just good enough. So, okay. Understood. Switching out from here. Looking at this tier 2 armor, I will be going strong with the abnormal barders, right? And it wouldn't surprise me if that road sign kilt, considering by default, kilts tend to be a lot more valuable, a lot more in demand. It's the only leg armor that we have. It wouldn't surprise me if that has a pretty good future, but I just don't expect it to rise up in value too high either, because there's other cheap green options as well. So, retain its value? Yeah, I think you will. But massive profit? Maybe not until the summertime or post-Christmas time. So, okay, cool. I understood. Let's move on to the locker. So, with this locker right here, you can see with the first 24 hours of sales, it had just under 4,000 subscribers. What would be a very nice thing to compare to? I think we could go to the previous week and compare to the Lunar Horse Fortune wooden door. So this wooden door, let's get a quick look at you. Where are you? There you are. Only 9,000 subscribers. I switch back over to here. I look at this locker once more. 5,900 at the moment. I think that locker is going to probably do between 9 to 10,000 subscribers. Well then, that really isn't that much. But if we could just quickly compare to the recent locker skins, we did recently just have the Oasis locker. That sold next to nothing. That still went down in price, and that's part of a collection. But then again, how in demand is the Oasis locker? This is completely independent. This is all by itself, but it really does look nice. Have you seen this with your own eyes? Have you looked at it in game? Because it does look quite pretty, and I wouldn't be surprised if people probably will start to warm up to it and like it and appreciate it. But it might not take a it might not happen instantly. It'll likely have to take a while. I think that'll still dip below its Rust price. I think considering we're about to go through the Easter dip, this will very likely dip below its $3 price. But as time goes on, it wouldn't surprise me if it does recover. So, abnormal barders, yep, let's get that sorted first. I might just stick with the barder as well. This upcoming Wednesday, we'll figure out prices, and then of course we'll race after this and try and get it for super cheap. We'll try. Emperor Tier 3 armor with the HMLMG. So there's actually a bit of a distance now from here to here. But initially, as we wrong one. As we switch back over to here, yep. Looking at the Tier 3 armor, just over 3,000 subscribers. Over to here, slightly less. And then the Year of the Horse HMLMG, slightly less. And we've also got the Jade Rock, 2,900 subscribers. We've also got the Lunar Sap, 2,900 subscribers. So honestly, all of this, yep. We'll look at all of it. But what are we going to compare to? Considering it's so low with the sales, I'm looking at the Cold Hunter Combat Knife. Both of which, where are we? Both of which only had about 3,000 subscribers, the big batch, and this right here. This right here only ended up with slightly over 7,000 subscribers. So looking at the Tier 3 armor, the Rock, the HMLMG, and the Sap, honestly, I'm looking at it and I think that's all going to do probably between 7,000 to 8,000 subscribers. That is not a lot. No. Yeah, on average, it looks as if the skins we see here have sold less compared to the previous week, even though the previous week, a lot more people just did not care for it. Emperor metal face mask and chest plate. By default, I will sit here and say, and I said it in my predictions video, I know for a fact that will go below its Rust price. I know it will happen. But what we now do is we anticipate for next year. Because next year, I won't be surprised if we see Emperor Tier 2, or boots and gloves, or hoodie and pants. I expect it to happen. And so, we're going to approach this with the idea that next year, we fully expect that we're going to see that collection continuation being made, and we hope to see it being accepted. Recently, what's this? Anyway, Dragon's Fury. Have you seen the hoodie and pants for Dragon's Fury from last year? In anticipation for potentially seeing a sequel, this got bought out. We did see Tier 3 armor being made, but unfortunately it wasn't accepted. It would have been nice. That very likely have skyrocketed. Maybe next year, maybe something different, we'll see. But this was some hoodie and pants that came out last year, and what I did was I kind of lowballed them. I offered between like 50 cents to 70 cents. In regards to the Tier 3 here, I very likely will just do that again. They might be priced at $2.49. They will not retain that price. Maybe they might retain slightly above $1. We'll see how it goes. But I am playing it safe with that, and I'll do a lowball barter 100%. And fingers crossed, we actually see the sequel being accepted next year. So we'll talk more about that on Wednesday. I'm just sitting here and saying I fully expect it to drop off. Even with 7,000 to 8,000 subscribers. You have the Horse HMLMG. It's just a standard design, no transparency. But based on what I see here, I just don't really expect that much. I'm sorry to say. I don't think the HMLMG skins are actually in demand. What makes you say that, Hedge? Take a quick look and guess. Lots of it in the red, lots of it in the negative. So I don't fully trust it. That would probably just be like a 60 cent to 80 cent barter. You haven't sold that much, so maybe I might up it a bit more. But it is surprising with such little sales that, yeah. For something that's only somewhat recently become skinnable, people are already fed up with the skins. Rock, yeah, you very likely will be one of the lowest selling rocks that we've seen as of recent. I'm talking like potentially the lowest selling rock from like the past four years. Yeah. But we actually hold up. Not really sure to answer that. Although I will remind you, we did have that rock somewhat recently that sold for $3.49. It's only slightly down in price. So perhaps people do appreciate a rock that doesn't sell that much. 8,500, just saying. So I'll keep an eye on you. I don't fully trust you. It's a fine design. It's just not that insane. It's just a rock. Right. Then we have the sap. That's a perfectly fine standard looking sap. No special transparency on the aim sight or anything. Just a perfectly fine red design. Very nice and Lunar New Year themed. I don't trust it though. Sap skins used to be reliable. Not so much anymore though. Meteorite Sap came out recently, down by about 40%. Fault Sap, oh, you came out somewhat recently, down 16%. Doesn't help that we got like the Trust and Rust pistol for absolutely free. A nice white design, nice red transparent aim sight. Yeah, majority of people very likely don't even need to buy a Sap skin forever, maybe. So yeah, something that used to be very reliable. We have a lot of skins now in the negative, real bad, so not feeling very confident, sorry to say. So yeah, from here to here, even though it's low sales, I still don't expect that much. Right then, moving on to the final two skins, Lunar Zodiac Spinning Wheel and the Year of the Fire Horse Wall Pendant. So, looking at all the skins, what could I compare with this? It's going to be a little bit hard, but I'm going to go all the way back over to here, and I'm going to compare it to the Sausages Poncho. So all of these skins, they sold for around like 2,500 subscribers after the first 24 hours of sales. But by the end of its 7-day tenure, Sausages Poncho only had around 5,500 subscribers. Looking back over to here, I mean, of course, I'm going to sit here and say, for both of these, 5,000 to 6,000 subscribers. Now, in regards to the spinning wheel, this is the first ever glow-in-the-dark spinning wheel, as you will see right over to there. Now, is that going to be super helpful? Is it going to be wholly necessary or anything? Like, how many of you have actually used a spinning wheel recently? How many of you have actively skinned your spinning wheel? I don't really expect much. I still believe this will drop off like all the previous spinning wheel skins that we can see over to here. So, down 49, down 51, down 9. And what will happen to you? Pretty much the same thing. Only 7,600 subscribers, only 9,600 subscribers. Yeah, it's been dropping off. Demand isn't there for the actual item itself, so yeah. Now the rug, which is referred to as a wall pendant, that might be a little bit tricky to find. Very tricky to find without the actual like name of the item in its name, which sounds a bit silly, but I'm like, you know, if I'm going to search for rugs here, I will never be able to find it if I just search for rug. So here you go, rug, and boom, it'll never appear. So, in regards to what we have with this, it's pretty big. It doesn't glow. It's a perfectly fine looking design. It's just, it might not rise up in value until next year, in the lead up to next year's Lunar New Year. Wouldn't surprise me if it drops off. How many rug skins we had so far this year? So I swear we had another one. There you go, yeah, volcanic rug. Well, yeah, I don't expect much, I'm sorry to say. This is only slightly down in price. But the fact that it glows makes it a whole lot more valuable. This right here, though, it lacks that. It's unfortunate. That very likely is going to be the reason why it doesn't hold its value. So, sheer lack of sales, both of them, but still not really expecting either of them to be a very nice investment. So, that's pretty much everything. That's everything that needs to be said. So, we don't really actually have much else to talk about. We've already referenced the fact that a lot of people turned up today. Player count's very good. And as we wrap up February, it really does look like it's done better in comparison to January time. Like, look at all that green. Awesome. Right. So, commits. We pretty much know that it's just going to be some tweaks and changes and, you know, some things are being patched in regards to the naval update. So, March 4 swipe next Thursday. We don't really expect that much. It is what it is, but, yeah. Yeah. So, you shouldn't be expecting that many more things being mentioned here. There's been some references to horse animation changes and all that, but not much is to be expected. It'll be a quiet month, but just to get those changes for the naval update probably would make a lot of people happy. The workshop. Yes, so we started to notice some skins being submitted. We started to see some very strange looking designs. Why does it say mug? I'm just trying to read it. Small Cat, did you make the sausage poncho? No. They just felt like making some sausages. Okay. But yeah, you can always use micro522.com to get a good insight in regards to all the newer skins. All you got to do is just go over to here, click submitted once, and you'll see all the newer skin submissions. So we've got like the Stone Farmer backpack here. Themed backpacks. I mean, I wouldn't say no. I reckon you could do a stone farmer, a wood farmer, and a scrap farmer. I feel like that's probably the only three that you might better get away with Krabby. But it's a perfectly fine approach. What would you suggest? We'll see how it is. So yes, I'm keeping track of all the new skin submissions. Last week we saw a massive batch of them, but we also saw a massive batch of barbecue skins being submitted. So just to point out, this is the newest batch so far, and this is all the barbecue skins so far. This is the brand new skinnable for March 2026. Out of all these barbecues, which one will you pick? Well, keep an eye out. A lot more of them are to be expected as we go through the rest of this weekend. So yeah, by Monday, I won't be surprised if we see at least 5 more of these. Do you reckon we'll see 2 of these being accepted in the March 4 Swipe Rust store? And if so, which one? What collection would you like to see make a barbecue? Well, do you reckon we'll see a No Mercy barbecue? Would you like to see something else? I don't know. Neon barbecue? We'll see how it is. So, alright, cool. Anything else to mention, Hedge? Not really. I guess I could point out, I uploaded this video earlier today. Just want to point out, it's not my birthday. My birthday's not for another month or so. But because I've referenced a previous unboxing thing I did that was on my birthday, everybody's sitting here and saying, oh, happy birthday, Hedge, happy birthday, happy birthday. No, it's not my birthday. You didn't listen to me properly. Anyway, consider giving that a good watch. What did I unbox? Oh, well, there's only one way to find out. So consider giving that a good watch, and I think I'm done. All good. So have a good weekend. Catch you later. Say goodbye. Best of luck with you and your lovely investments.